Friends, welcome to our video 34B in our series Principles of Equity Investing. Actually, our videos 34, 34A and 34B are actually linked. That's the reason I have numbered them that way. And then again, we'll continue with our principles really from video 35. So those who have come to this video directly, I would request you to have a look at video 34 and 34A before you come to video 34B. Otherwise, you will not be able to take the full advantage of what I have tried to convey here. So in this video, I'm actually going to provide to you a template which can help you to create opportunities for yourself. And essentially, this template is focused on taking decisions to purchase shares as well as I have explained in the previous video 34A, you can also use the opportunity for switching from one company to another when there is an opportunity arising out of a huge difference in the discounts. So friends, here I am also going to provide to you a template, an Excel file, which you can actually download. So if you please go to the description section of the video, you will find the link there from which you can download that particular Excel file. And in this video, I'm actually going to explain to you that Excel file itself. And therefore, I think you can pause this video, look at the description, download the file, save it in some folder, and then perhaps continue watching the rest of the video so that it really gives you the maximum benefit. Because in all the later slides, I'm actually picking up one section of the file and going to explain that to you. So don't hesitate to pause the video and again come back to it. So let's move to different sections of the file. You'll actually see in this file that there are two sheets. There is one sheet where I have given you a bit of a summary of various holding companies, discounts and so on. And here also you'll find that I have maintained the same principle that I'm not talking about any specific company. Also to honor the regulatory requirement that only analysts approved by Securities Exchange Board of India, SEBI, can actually give specific advice on companies, and I'm following that advice completely. And therefore, I'm only talking about in this series principles. And of course, you can do your own research, you can do your work and then use the methods that I'm talking about. So if you go to the second sheet in that file, you will find that I have provided there a valuation template. So here is a template that you can see on the slide also, and you can clearly see the same in the Excel file. I have naturally made some small modifications just to ensure that whatever you are able to see in a little broader framework in the Excel file, I am able to accommodate in a small slide, and therefore I have done some amount of removing some rows, etc. But apart from that, the content is the same. So what you will find is that there are listed stocks, so there can be company 1 to 16. If there are more companies, you can add rows. There is a sector to which this company belongs to. What I mean is the company in which the holding company has invested belongs to. So company 01, for example, belongs to banking sector. Company 07 belongs to hotels. And this is a sectoral classification that you can expand on. Then there is a quantity, there is a price and value. Now, where do we get this quantity from? The quantity can be obtained from two resources. One is you can go through their annual report and they have a disclosure in terms of their holding. From there, you need to populate the quantities here. You can do that and update them once in a year. As year passes by and new annual report is available to us, we can just change a few quantities because sometimes they of course reduce, add to those quantities, they sell off some shares, they add new shares. So that editing you need to do, but that's a 2-hour investment and then your file is done. And then the price column that you can see here beginning from 750 rupees is the contemporary price, the price on the day when you are actually doing this valuation. So put those numbers there and that will calculate the value in crores, which you can see in the last column. But if you go to the lower section, you will find that there is a section on other investments. Now these other investments are not necessarily quoted in the stock market, and as you can see in the lower section, there are unlisted equity shares which are not yet listed, but they may have some holding there, listed bonds, mutual funds. So here, of course, we can't do a valuation as of every day, and we get guided by whatever was the number which was there at the last year end. It's not going to make a huge difference, and therefore we can hold to that. And that will give you the total investment portfolio in crores, and which is 2432.50 crores in this case. And the number of shares that the company, the holding company or investment company is issued are 2 crores. So therefore you can arrive at the per share NAV, which of course the template will calculate, and you plug in the current price. Moment you plug in the current price, you can get the discount. So you know this discount. Now this is the way you can replicate this sheet for as many investment companies or holding companies that you plan to invest in and do research on, and a summary of that you can capture in the summary sheet, which I am now going to deal with in greater detail in the later slides, because all the crux of what I wanted to convey in my video 34 and 34A is actually going to be in the following slides. Here I thought of just taking you through the valuation template so that you know how valuation can be done. In fact, I have a previous video also. Often I don't remember the number, but I'll provide a link to that in the description box, which is where I have also talked about the theoretical framework for valuation of holding company shares, so that you can have a look at, just for you to refresh the concept that I have described here. But my real purpose is actually to tell you, once we have the valuation, how we can actually use it for our investment decisions. So that's going to be the interesting part, and that I'll take you to the next slide. So what you can see here in the first sheet, where there is a title of various blocks, you can see multiple blocks there. There is a color band for a particular row, and then below that there is a certain data provided. So here I am now dealing with rows 3 to 6 of that first sheet, where you can actually see NAV and discount summary. Now it always makes sense that we reduce our effort. So if you are going to create multiple sheets for valuation of holding companies, you can clearly link the NAV calculation here itself. Against company A, you can link the company A sheet. Company B NAV, you can take it from the sheet that you will create for company B, and you can create as many sheets as you want. Here, of course, in this particular file, I have taken example of 3 companies because I personally, have restricted to that because there is no end to it. But you can always use that principle and expand the worksheet if you want for many more companies, and you are free to do that. You can use the same principle to expand it. But this summary actually tells us that the NAV of the 3 holding companies is 2,800, 4040, 760 respectively. The price is 1120, 1200, 308. Now the company ABC that I have taken here, this is all hypothetical data. Don't link it with the previous slide where I actually showed you the valuation template and we had arrived at some NAV there. So this is disjoint from that. That's just a standalone example. And then price is what you key in, which is today. You actually get the discount. So what you find is company A has 60% discount. Company B has 70.3% discount. Company C has 59.47% discount. Now the discount can shrink to 50%, and I am hopeful that in years to come, as people discover holding company based investing, the discount may shrink further, and lower is the discount, the better is the price discovery for us. But here we clearly see that if you have any fresh money, the money should be invested in company B rather than either company A or company C or any other mutual fund. Because in a mutual fund, as I had mentioned in the earlier videos, particularly video 34, that you have to pay the same price as NAV. but holding companies are giving you a significant discount at which you can buy a much larger NAV at a much lower price. Like for example, in case of company A, you pay the price of 1120, but the NAV is 2800. If the NAV of a particular mutual fund unit was 2800, you would have to also pay the price of 2800. But here you are getting at a discount. Now, why discount? All that logic I have already discussed in video 34. But keep in mind that this discount is not static. You may also find the discount to be as low as 50% or even 40%. When the markets boom, it can get reduced to even lower than that, to say 30%. So we will not only benefit from the increase in NAV, but we can also benefit from fall in the discount. So that's the big advantage of investing through holding companies. And as I've already given my disclosure in video 34 also, uh, I personally hold a significant portion of my equity portfolio through holding companies, and therefore, I personally would be great. I mean, I would really feel very happy if the discount shrinks. So this is something, to that limited extent, I also have a vested interest in discount getting reduced, but I'm sure you would also have the same interest. So that way our interests are not conflicting. But the point is that this is a discount which is not static. Now coming back to which company should we pick up, assuming that the portfolios of all three companies are good, company B is a clear choice, because larger the discount, obviously we have a potential for realizing more value, and therefore highest discount companies should be picked up. But if you find that company B does not belong to a group where the companies, the underlying companies themselves, they have an issue, or there is some governance related issues with the group, etc., and because of that the discount has widened, then I would say that then company A or company C become good choices. They are very close to each other in terms of discount anyway. But if assume that that's not the case, then the company B is clear choice. So if you have money, you should be putting money into company B, not company A and company C, because it has a highest potential for discovery of that value. Secondly, sometimes because of corporate actions, the value also can get discovered. So a buyback offer from this company, for example, because they themselves know that the NAV is far higher, they may come out with a buyback offer where the buyback price is much higher than the current price. Then you can discover that value. So this is another advantage of investing through holding company route. So this gives you the summary. Now let's go into a little more interesting other dimensions. Now here I am now on rows 10 to 13 of the same Excel file that you have downloaded. Here you can see that how many shares uh, that you know uh, that you can buy if you were to sell some of your existing shares. For example, if you were to sell one share of company A, so the table is constructed in this way that if you were to sell one share of company A, you can obviously get only one share of company A again, naturally. Of course, brokerage apart. But you can get only 0.933 of company B. And you can actually get 3.636 of company C. Now, why is this table constructed? Because as you can see in my video 34A, where I have talked about the rationale of taking advantage of a steeper discount without putting any fresh money to work, then I also need to manage my cash flow very well, because suppose I were to sell company A, but if I were to go and buy 5 shares of company C instead of 3.636 shares, so obviously the fraction is just because that's the way prices are currently placed. But if suppose for example you had 100 shares of company A and you plan to sell company A and buy company B, then by selling 100 shares of company A, you will be able to buy only 93 shares of company B, but you will be able to buy 363 shares of company C. Now, when you do this, you need to also make a provision for payment towards brokerage and other costs. So that is something that you need to be careful. So instead of 3.63, which will translate into 363 shares, if you had 100 shares of company A, buy 360 only, because then you'll have sufficient money to pay for the other charges, etc. Similarly, instead of buying 93 shares of company B, you may plan to buy only 92 shares. So you have sufficient money, to pay for other costs in case you are running short of money. So that's the reason why this table is constructed. And of course, you can study that Excel file to give you far more clarity. Now, for example, company C, if you were to sell one share of company C, you can get only 0.275 shares of company A. So suppose you had 100 shares of company C that you wanted to sell, then you will be able to get only 27 shares of company A, only 25 shares of company B. So you need to manage this while placing your orders also. That's the reason why this table is constructed. And this is available on rows 10 to 13. Now, when you do this, that is, you sell one share of company A and buy the equivalent shares of those shares which are available in the column. For example, if you were to sell one share of company A and you were to buy equivalent, now that equivalent does not mean one, it will actually mean that fraction like what we saw on the earlier table. You will be able to generate a value of 970 rupees for every sale of company A's one share, right? Now, what do I mean by this value generation? I think those who have not seen video 34A, please have a look at those case studies, because in each of the case study, particularly case study 1 and 2, I have actually shown how much value that you can generate by doing the sale of one share and buying something else in its equivalent price. Then how much value can you generate? You can generate by selling one share of company A and buying that fraction of company B. You can actually generate value of 970 rupees. But you will destroy a value of 36 rupees if you were to sell shares of company A and buy shares of company C in terms of its equivalent for each one share of company A. I hope you are clear about what I'm saying. So clearly, selling a company A share and buying company C share doesn't make sense. But selling company A shares and buying company B shares makes sense. You can see those in black color. Similarly, selling one company C share to buy company B share makes sense. You will generate 276 rupees of value, and you will generate some value of 10 rupees of company A, not so much. So company C to company A is not worthwhile, but company C to company B may be quite worthwhile if there is a significant difference in discount, like what you would have seen in the case study 2 that I had talked about in video 41. I'm sorry, video 34A. And those who have kind of seen it some time ago, just refresh it if you want. You will actually see what I'm talking about in terms of this value creation. So there was a difference of almost 15% discount in those two stocks. If I remember, 59% in one case and 74% in another case. So that steep discount I had taken advantage of, and later on the discount shrunk. I was able to benefit both in terms of value as well as in terms of price. Now, this value generation should not be confused with profit, because we are talking about the NAV here. We are not talking about the price. Price gain you will get, as you have seen in video 34A, only if the price also moves based on your calculation. If price doesn't move, then you have a value creation, but that may not immediately reflect in the price gain. So remember that I had talked about two concepts in video 34A, price gain and value gain. Price gain also happened in various cases that you would have seen there, for the simple logic that if there was an anomaly of a deeper discount, I had taken advantage of that, and the discount was very significant. Then, of course, certain price benefit came my way. But in the long term, I have also generated value by doing the switch. A lot of that has not yet been discovered, as I have elaborated in video 34A. So here we are not talking about price. So please don't be under the impression that by doing this switch, you're automatically going to get a profit. No, you are just generating value right now. And if the price move happens based on your expectation, then you will also get a price benefit. That means you will actually get a profit. Over a period, this value is anyway going to be discovered and you are going to gain anyway, but that may take a little longer time. So let's move further. Here the same table of value generation destruction, but only thing what I've done is some people are more comfortable to see what will happen if I were to sell one share in the row, like what in the previous slide. Somebody may be more comfortable by seeing what will happen if I were to buy one share but in the column. So here we are talking about buying one share of company A, buying one share of company B, buying one share of company C by selling something which is in the row. In the earlier table, I talked about, the other way. I talked about selling the shares of company A, B, C, which were listed in the row, and buying companies in the column. Here I am talking about exactly the opposite. Buying the company in the column, and then later on, obviously we have to sell something to buy this. For example, here you are buying company B share, which is going to generate value of 1040, but for that you will have to give up equivalent shares of company A. Similarly, by buying company B shares, by selling company shares, you can generate value of 1078.96, but you will have to give up equivalent shares of company C. So you will have to see how many shares of company C you will have to give up. For that, anyway, I have already provided a table which we have already spoken in a couple of slides earlier. So that you need to be careful that if I have to generate value by purchasing one company B share, then how many shares of company C I have to give up. So look at that table and you should know how many shares you'll have to actually sell to generate this kind of a value. But it can be very significant, and that's where the gain can be very, very high, right? So study that Excel file in the context of this video, and this table is available on rows 24 to 27 in the Excel file. Lastly, how much is the value generation that we can do, or value destruction? Now, all those, I have not explained the destruction part because none of us are interested in destruction. But if you see my previous tables, previous slides, you also found that some numbers were negative. So negative numbers, minus numbers which are highlighted in red, obviously means destruction. So there is no point in doing that trade. We are all here to generate value. So obviously what we need to do is focus on value generation. Now you will remember that company B had the highest discount, and therefore if you are to acquire shares of company B by giving up shares of company A and company C, you can actually generate value. How much value can you generate? Again, I'm explaining. This is not price. We are talking about value which is not yet discovered by the market, right? You can actually generate value of 1.25 lakhs. So now on what basis has this been derived? If you see the last column, I have assumed that you have 100 shares of company A, 100 shares of company B, 100 shares of company C. As you keep on buying them and you continue to build your own portfolio, then obviously the number of shares here will have to be plugged in based on actual data. And in fact, as you build your tables, what you should do is create a comprehensive file where you don't have to feed the data again and again. You can simply pick up this data of number of shares from your actual holdings related data. Now that of course I have not provided here, that is something that I am leaving it to you to construct in terms of actual holding of different shares. But for that again, anyway, by the way, I have provided a template for recording that also in a separate video, and those of you who are interested, I can also provide a link to that, and you can download that Excel file in which you can populate all your purchases, and by feeding data in terms of current price, it will also give you what is the profit per trade, individual trade, cumulative. So all that I don't want to get into details here. I'll just provide a link to that in the description box. You can also go and have a look at that video, and there again there is a downloadable Excel file that you can download and keep your records, and you can even integrate this file that I'm sharing here with that file, and you should be happy to link various cells in such a way that you don't have to enter the price data or NAV data multiple times. It should just go and pick up from different sheets of Excel. You can even take help of, somebody who knows Excel, and this is very, very basic stuff you're talking about. But what I'm saying is that if you hold 100 shares each of company A, company B, company C, um, you can see that you can actually generate more value of 1.25 lakhs by selling, 100 shares of company A and converting them into company B, selling 100 shares of company C and converting them into company B. And naturally, if you were to do that, your company A, company C holding will become nil, but you will have all the holding under company B. Now, whether to do that or not depends on your understanding of, the underlying businesses of each of those companies. And if you feel that you would rather remain diversified across three holding companies, you don't do anything. Just hold on to your 100 shares or whatever quantity. And as you go along and build more quantity, you don't have to necessarily sell everything. You can only sell, suppose at some stage you have 1,000 shares of each. You can do this trade for 100 shares and first get a feel in terms of, how you are generating value and how that trade has panned out for you. If it's working well, you can then increase the quantity whenever there is an opportunity. So that is the way you can do it. So you don't have to rush into applying this knowledge straight away. I'm just providing you this tool that you can use anytime, actually. So let's move on, and I'll now give you a summary. So the last part of the file is about, what is the summary of the value that you have, the price which is currently prevailing, and therefore the undiscovered value. So let's see that towards the end of this presentation. So the undiscovered value of company A, company B, and company C shares put together that you already have of 100 each is 4.97 lakhs. So what is the importance of the undiscovered value? This is the potential which has a opportunity to reflect in price someday. Now that can either happen because of corporate action, like somebody announces a buyback, or the market starts recovering, the discount starts shrinking, a part of that value will get reflected in the price. Or sometimes there could be a merger of two holding companies, who knows, then there will be some discovery of value. And in fact, more than two holding companies merging, it is also quite possible that the holding company merges with one of the group companies whose shares it was holding. Now, if that were to happen, or if it were to merge into its own parent company, if that is the case, then it can result into discovery of value. Now, this is our hidden reserve for the future. The price which is prevailing is the current value that we already have, which is discovered, but this is undiscovered value. And that undiscovered value is our cushion for the future, like what I had actually mentioned in video 34. Now that is the cushion which helped me to go through the COVID pandemic with a lot more comfort, because I was always focused on this undiscovered value, and I knew that if I were to sell those shares right now, just because the prices have fallen, I'm actually not just giving up a share, I'm also giving up a lot more undiscovered value. So as I mentioned in video 34, it actually gave me a peace of mind, and I was able to manage my mind in a much better way. So I think look at this from this perspective. So gradually start building your holding company portfolio. Do these switches if you sense an opportunity, just to experiment with it. But mind you, these principles that I have also talked about elsewhere in this series also need to be kept in mind. So this was a trio of three holding company related videos, video 34, 34A, 34B, but they also need to be seen in light of my other themes which I have been unfolding right from video 1, where I have talked about different principles, and I have followed this ethical principle also, that I have not talked about any particular stock just to stay away from any kind of regulatory breach, but at the same time also to prompt you to do a research on your own, because one of the first principles of investing is that we should manage our money ourselves. And what I have tried to do is strengthen your capability. You're already a capable person, but I've just tried to strengthen your capability to do it by giving you different tools. So along with this video, also kindly see the description box to access the other videos that I have spoken about during this conversation. So friends, I hope you liked the video as well as the trio of video 34, 34A and 34B. And if you have, please share it, please comment on it, give me the encouragement and do suggest topics. Thank you so much, really appreciate.